We're here with Wayne Rooney at Audi Field. It's a gloomy day, but kind of it's really good England weather, and we're going to get into talking about the English national team here. But right now, we are right around the corner from the World Cup. As someone who's been a part of World Cups in the past, what are your feelings? What's your excitement level for the tournament coming up?
Yeah, it's very exciting. I think the last World Cup actually I was here as a player, so I watched it here. It's a strange timing to be going into the winter and having a World Cup then, but yeah, it's exciting. Obviously, we'll be in our off season, so I'm looking forward to watching it with my children and enjoying it as a fan. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
As you mentioned, the World Cup is going to be held in the winter for the first time because it's in Qatar and they had to adjust for weather and everything. Normally it's in the summertime, and at that period a lot of the European leagues are done and you can have these longer camps. A lot of these teams are going to gather a week before the tournament. What kind of effect do you feel like that could have?
Yeah, I suppose nowadays the players are fit anyway, so you don't really need the long camp for the players to get the fitness. It's more for the coaches really, and how they want to play and what style, what identity the coaches want to put on the team, and it's different. But I think the one thing, especially for the teams in Europe, is the players will be fresh. Normally it's the end of the season, there's a bit of fatigue in there still, and the players will be fresh, so I think it gives the European teams a bit more of an advantage.
So I do want to transition and talk about the group. You mentioned it a little bit, and obviously our focus here and our interest would be the US game that Friday after Thanksgiving. What are the expectations specifically against the US for this England group?
I think not just for the US, I think for all three games which England play in the group, it's to be professional. Obviously not underestimate your opponents. They're all in the World Cup for a reason, and good teams. But I think England is a far greater team than any of them three teams who are in the group, and if you stay professional, don't underestimate your opponents and do the right things, I think they'll go through the group comfortably. If not, if you underestimate these teams and you start thinking about the knockout stages while you're still competing in the group, then it could turn out to be difficult games against all three. So I'm sure Gareth and the players will know that.
How much have you seen of Gareth Southgate's group, and how would you describe this group of England players?
Exciting. I think we've seen it in the European Championships. Obviously unlucky not to win, losing on penalties. In the World Cup in Russia, getting to the semi-final. So I think there's been a growing expectation on the players, on the squad, on Gareth. So I think there's an excitement about this group of players, and I believe we can do well. I think the group is, and this is no disrespect, the group should be pretty straightforward to get through. And I know in international football there's never really any easy games, but it should be straightforward for England to get through that group. And then obviously you're relying on the draw. You need a little bit of luck in there as well, but I do think they've got a good chance.
I know that you're not a scout for England or anything like that, but what is your perspective on what you've seen from the US?
Yeah, listen, they're a good team and they've got good players. I think the important thing to the US is that they stick as a team and play as a team, because, and again, it's not being disrespectful, there's better teams in the tournament than what the US are. But through hard work and being hard to beat and hard to play against, and I believe that's the best way for the US to go about this tournament and try and be a horrible team to play against. And I'm sure, obviously, again, the coach will have his own ideas, but when you're coming up against teams who you know are better than you, you have to make it as difficult as possible for them teams to break you down, and then you will get chances. I think every team who plays against England will get a chance, and then it's obviously you're relying on your attacking players to take them.
You mentioned the hard-working nature. You yourself, as a player, experienced a U.S. national team like that in 2010. May not have been the greatest memory for you yourself, but can you kind of take me back to that game and explain the experience against that team? Yeah,
I think first of all, we look at ourselves and we were complacent in that game. And that's exactly what I'm saying. Now with the England team, you have to be professional and not underestimate your opposition, and we were complacent. We felt we'd go into the game and win it comfortably, and we paid the price for that. And obviously the US made it difficult for us. They got bodies behind the ball and defended and hoped that they'd nick a goal, and they did. Obviously, a mistake from Rob Green in that game cost us a goal, but it's purely for England. It's about being professional and then hoping for a bit of luck with the draw and to see where we can go. So it's in 2010 was a difficult tournament for us all. We didn't play well in any of the group games really, so we got what we deserved.
Is that something that you think as a nation England thinks about still? That in particular, that matchup, knowing they're facing the US again, is that in the psyche of English people in general?
Not really.
Yeah. It's fair.
Yeah. Not really. I think for everyone watching the tournament, we all believe and expect England to go through the group. So that's a firm belief we all have. But again, being part of the England team for so long, being around tournaments for so long, I know they can be difficult games, and being professional and not underestimating your opposition is so important in these tournaments, because you do that, these teams are prepared, they're ready to try and take a big name and win the game, and if you give them any encouragement, then it can be a very difficult game.
Will you give me a prediction for the England-US game? Do you have a score prediction?
4-0.
4-0 US, right?
I think 4-0.
4-0. 4-0 England is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate the
No
time,
problem.
Wayne.
Thank you.
Hey sports fans, if you want to see more conversations with athletes and stars, check out these videos right here and be sure to subscribe for more from USA Today Sports.